Okay. Good morning to everyone. Today, our first session is on field studies, and the session will be chaired by Dr. Samir Debarma from Tripura University. So, I'd like to request Samir to kindly chair the session. Thank you. Samir?
Yeah. Good morning to everyone. Today I'll be chairing the first session. So today's presenter is Mesek Sampar Awan. We will be presenting on a preliminary study of Asing, a moribund language of Arunachal Pradesh. So I call upon to present this paper.
Yeah, Awan, you can unmute yourself and start. The screen is on.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I thank TiBLANEI and IIT Guwahati for organizing this seminar. And I am Mesek Sampar Awan, presenting a paper titled A Preliminary Study of Asing, a Moribund Language of Arunachal Pradesh. So, due to some reasons, I abruptly prepared these slides, so there will be a lot of loopholes and all. So I'll try to present a brief account of the language Asing, and I'll try to highlight the outline of the grammar of Asing. So first of all, coming to the introduction, Asing is one of the subgroups of Adi tribe of Arunachal Pradesh, and Adi is one of the major tribe of Arunachal Pradesh, which has around 15 subtribes, and this Asing speaker is one of them. Asing is one of the 15 subtribes. So the native speakers live in nearing village, Kuging village, and few families in Tuting township under the Tuting administrative circle of Upper Siang district, Arunachal Pradesh. The total population of Asing speaker is only 45, out of which only 24 are competent speakers. And native speakers of Asing assert that their progenitors migrated about a century ago from Yarang, Gidung, Shirang village. Presently, these places are under Medoc County, but by the time they migrated, at the time there were no proper demarcation between India and Tibet. So it was just like a local region for them, and they used to migrate from there. And later it was these places, three places, it comes under Tibet. So most of them, they migrated from this region to Arunachal, and then later, after around a decade ago, maybe 10, 20 years ago, most of them migrated back to the Tibet region again. So only few of them here in Arunachal. So these surviving speakers are the descendants of those who are left behind. Asings are multilingual, and they are highly proficient in Hindi, Assamese, Memba are their neighbors, Tangam also is their neighbor, Padam Mingyong, besides their mother tongue Asing. The language has a very limited domain of use because the number of speakers is also very less, and they are settling with the Memba speakers, Khamba speakers, and other Adi speakers. So, due to their less number of speakers, they hardly have time to converse with one another among themselves. So, when they have very limited domain of use, even within the village, they cannot speak their own language all the time because all the villagers that doesn't speak Asing. So there are other speakers like Khamba speakers and Memba speakers within their village also. So it is hard for them to use, speak their language frequently. So it has a very highly limited domain of use. The speakers use the language only when interacting among themselves and occasionally with their children and relatives who are passive speakers of the language. Moreover, most of the competent native speakers of this language are already over 50 years of age. So it is uh, highly endangered and it is on the verge of extinction. Asing is one of the least known and undocumented. It is not even not documented yet. It is an undocumented language of Arunachal Pradesh. Besides this study, no scholar had ever done any research on this particular language. So Asing, it has close affinities with Tangam language and neighboring Bogubukang language. And in general, we have affinity with other Adi languages also and other Tan languages. They share many similar features with the other Tani languages. And considering its close affinity with Bugumbukang and Tangam, since it is not yet studied, so it is not been in a language classification also. So considering its closeness to close affinity to Tangam and Bugumbukang and other Tani languages, so I would like to place this language under the Tani branch of Central Tibeto-Burman language family, which is in a Bradley's classification. So on the right side, we see the photograph here. These are the native speakers of Asing. Uh, this photo was taken in September 2021. So the first from the left, this is Chitut Dawa, Chitut Dawa Dangen, and the second one, the lady is Komang Tamut. She is the most competent speaker. Unfortunately, she was married to another community, but still, she's trying to maintain the language. She's trying to speak the language. And in the workshop uh, conducted last year in September, she also expressed that she would always try to speak the language and try to
Sorry to
preserve.
interrupt. We are not able to see the screen with the photo. Eugene. Yeah. Yeah. Now we can see.
Is it visible?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. This Gomang Tamut, she's the most competent speaker, and she was the most helpful consultant during the field trip also. She was the only one who gave us time from the beginning till the end. And the four gentlemen, Dongkong Sibo, and the second one is no, the first one is Chitut Dawa Dangen, and the second one, second gentleman, Dongkong Sibo, and the rightmost is Nuni Sibo. He is unmarried. So these four are the native speakers that who help us giving the data on Asing language. So coming to the next slide, we have the table of the speakers of Asing speaker. These are the only native speakers, and within this numbers also, there may be some of them who are not even speaking the language. So this was taken according to their claim. So Shibo here, Shibo, Dongkong Shibo's family, Nuni Shibo's family, Gomang Tamil's family, which has 8 members, first, so 6 member, 5 member, and 8 member, and Chitut Dawa Dangan family, he has 3 members only who are speaking Asing, and fifth one, Looking Doron's family, it's only 2 of them. Among these numbers, only 4 of them we identified, but the rest of them we don't actually know whether they are competent or not. But according to their claim, only among these 45 speakers, they say 24 are competent, and 10 are incompetent, and 11 are non-competent, and 10 are native, passive speakers. They only listen and speak only when they are asked to, and they are not competent also. So these are the 45 native speakers of Asing. The literature review, it is a very long story, and I'll try to read it. The use of the term Asing in an existing work of literature is presented in the chronological order below. Here, these are a few of the literature where Asing was mentioned, but unfortunately, this Asing mentioned in this literature is not the Asing that I'm presenting right now, because the Asing, when we went to the fieldwork, it started from Bunto village to Ting. From Bunto village, when we started inquiring about Asing, the speakers, they said they are not Asing. They said they are misrepresented. They are mistakenly called Asing. So they call themselves as Bokum Bokang. And even in Papang Dugong, he himself is Bokum Bokang, this Asing speaker, Asing, not Asing, presently Bokum Bokang speaker. He also mentioned in his dissertation that Asing is not Asing. He said that people call themselves Bokum Bokang, and this Asing was misrepresented and mistakenly called them as Asing. So here, Asing here mentioned here is not the Asing that we are talking about. So this Asing is Bokum Bokang. So this Asing that we are talking about right now is never studied by any scholar. Never. It has never been studied. So yeah, I will try to give a very brief sketch of the phonology of Asing. Asing has 7 contrastive vowel monophthongs, which comprises 2 front vowels, 3 central vowels, and 2 back vowels, and 10 diphthongs and 17 consonants. And this phonemic inventory of Asing is quite similar with the other Tani languages, the sound systems and all. Presence of high central, close central vowels, presence of close mid vowels. These are very typical in the Tani languages. And in the diphthong, we have 10 diphthongs in Asing. And consonants, here we have 17 consonants in Asing. And this is quite similar. I mean, it shares features with other Tani languages. That is absence of aspirated consonants is quite typical in the Tani languages. They don't have aspirated consonants, aspirated stops, and presence of palatal, nasal, velar nasal, palatal nasal is very common in tiny languages, and absence of um, labiodental fricatives, fricatives we have only three, and then lateral we have only one, and approximant only one here, and comparatively the nasal sounds are very rich in tiny languages. So let's go to the next. In syllable structure, the syllable structure in Asing is mostly monomoric. Uh, However, there are very few number of bimoric syllable structure in the language, which are likely to have occurred as a result of syneresis. The Proto-Tani syllable canon is like C, I, G, V, X, where CI is an optional initial consonant. So the onset consonant can be optional, but V is the obligatory nucleus. It is always obligatory, and G is the optional approximant. Optional approximant. So this is not always present in all the Tamil languages. In Asing especially, this approximant is absent till as far as my study is concerned. I have not found any consonant class, cluster in the data. So X is the optional coda. So only a vowel can form a word, and this coda and initial coda and initial consonant and the final consonant stays optional. And Asing still retain the basic principle of Proto-Tani structure, accepting the fact that there's no evidence of language having consonant cluster and consonant in the second segment of the consonant concept. The nucleus is always obligatory, while the consonant for the optional. Typical to most of the TV languages, it's also an agglutinative language. Multi-syllable words can be formed by the word formation processes like affixation, reduplication, and compounding. So the root words are mostly monosyllabic and disyllabic in this language. So coming to the morphological sketch, I would like to present the root structure of Asing. It has both free and bound roots. Disyllabic roots, disyllabic verb roots. Most of the nouns, including kinship terms in this language, normally occurs as free roots. It is also evident that stem in Asing tend to occur mostly as disyllabic words, not as monosyllabic, and with or without bound morpheme. As a result, it is bound morphemes are monosyllabic words, monosyllabic roots are all mostly they are found, and they tend to take affixes to become free. So here the examples I'll try to reach a few of them. Mo means I, no means you, and ale means leg, u to hear, and this u, these are the very few monosyllabic words, and monosyllabic words are very rare. So most of the words have three roots. Most of the stems are disyllabic, starting from disyllabic to multisyllabic. So Io, Bruna, Python, these are the three roots. So bound roots, coming to the bound roots here, yeah, kya means cry, but this kya cannot occur without the aspect marker or tense marker. Kya to cry, kit to steer, and this kit is always bound and can occur only with the yeah, tense or aspect suffixes. Kit do steer, chadung, ame, him, ane, aku. So these are the bound roots in async. Affixes in async can be categorized as prefix, suffix, and circumfix. So here, the most interesting thing is that prefixes are very limited in this language. So only few, as far as the study is concerned, the only prefix that I found here in the language is the causative prefix ma, and this the prefix e, u, v. I present here as a prefix v because it can be any of the vowel. So I call it as a generic prefix also in this study. So these are the only two prefixes that I found in the language. So comparatively, suffixes are very common in the language. And circumfix found only in the demonstrative pronoun. In the demonstrative pronoun, these circumfix are always found. In the something interesting fact about this demonstrative pronoun is that the circumfix may come within, I mean, across the, even if the demonstrative pronoun takes a lot of suffixes like adjectival, postpositional suffixes, even then the circumfix will come as a circumfix. So this is also a very interesting fact. And in orthography, this is very problematic to represent in orthography. So the word classes and grammatical categories like postposition, conjunctions, determiners, numbers, genders, cases, tense, suffix, moods. This in this language always occurs as suffixes, not as prefix. So all the grammatical categories, all these word classes, they occur as suffixes, and the prefixes are the only the two prefixes that I talk about earlier. Here, a few examples of affixes in ko, determiner, arangko, and idung, sleeping. Am I taking too much time, please?
Oh, you please carry on. We have
Hello?
enough time. Yeah. Awan, please carry on.
Yeah. So yeah, the some speakers are canceling, so I maybe I can take around 30 minutes maybe. So these are the suffixes and prefixes, affixes in async. Coming to the next slide, we have I would like to talk about the personal pronouns in async. In async, the personal pronouns, including possessive, even the possessive pronouns, they occur as independent words. The language follow the numerical system, singular, I mean, three number systems, singular, dual, and plural, but the dual number is not that significant, but they have. It's not that very significant, but when in the conversation they use 12 number. That's why I included. The language does not distinguish between person inclusive and exclusive also. Honorific and non-honorific are not distinguished in the language. Personal pronouns in async can be categorized as subjective, objective, and possessive personal pronouns. And in the possessive, we have a dependent and independent possessive. In independent possessive, like mine, here in async, they say moknan, that is mine. But the rest of the independent possessive pronouns, they use the dependent possessive pronoun. It is as same as the dependent possessive pronoun. So it is not written here. So first singular here, no, and objective. If it is me, then ngomu, ngomu, ngoku, and dwell, ngonu, ngok, ngonku. So I think I shouldn't I won't use much time to all this out. So here singular. So the only only this peculiar fact is that Yes. They don't have a dependent possessive pronoun, so it is same as the dependent possessive pronoun. Like ours is as ngoruku is for R and R's. Ngoruku, R and R, same only. Ngo for your, noku is your, and yours also is noku. So let's come to the next slide. Word formation process. Word formation by let's come to the affixation here in employ prefixation, suffixation. The language has a limited number of prefixes in comparison to suffixes, as mentioned earlier. Affixation may be classified as inflectional and irregular. So here in the example below the table, we have determiner a, and then effect, marker, do, and the plural of room, nominalizer male, and nominalizer yeah, it's male. Ine, here it is in the derivation, ine is thick. And when we add the suffix ne, ine it becomes thickness. And the first one, erang, is house, and erang is the house. So this determinant. So these are few affixation process in Assam, and unfortunately there are very few prefixes to identify here. Compounding compounds are either formed by two independent ways or dependent ways, while the former is quite simple, but the later involves the blending of the root. So it is quite interesting here in most of the Tani languages. We have these features when we say um, here in the second mouth and here in the mustache. Here Nyapang means mouth, and here Amungu means hair. So when they are compounded, it becomes Netmungu. Pang is gone, and is also gone in the second base. So Netmungu. This kind of blending, this kind of say sleeping in a compounding process, this happens very frequently in the Tamil languages. So Nebung, Nemungu, Nebungu, Nebu Amungu. And coming to reduplication, in reduplication, it is a very productive process in word formation in sync. It can be classified as first person complete gender marking in the language employ partial reduplication. X is like pazak means duck. So when we say jakpo, it is male duck. And when we say jakne, then it means female duck. So the jak is the taken from the pazak. So this kind of reduplication very frequently happen in Tani languages, not only in Asing. When pazak becomes jakpo, pa is gone and pazak and jakpo and jakne, and then so I would like to show a few examples of reduplication here. Achu achu is slowly, and mana mana quickly. Ikukine, ikukine, and ikikipo, here ikikipo. We can say here without iki also, it is quite meaningful. When we say ipo also, they will understand that it is male dog. So that T is taken from the dog. Iki. So it is quite obvious for them to understand that it is male dog when they say ipo. Ini also they will understand that it's female dog. So in the syntax, I would like to present only about word order, so which is quite common with other TB languages follows the SOV structure. Here the few example is mo patana kato. Mo means patana means bird, kato, ka means she. So is the past tense marker. So I show a bird. Mo patana kato and mo doke doito. I eat food here. Doke is food. So doito here. Ito here is the thing marker. So these are the two outline of the sketch of the Asing grammar, and with this coming to the conclusion, I would like to say that Asing is one of the known. It is an undocumented language of Arunachal Pradesh. Besides this research, no scholar has ever done any research on this particular language till now. The present work is just a preliminary study which provides only an outline of Asing grammar. So a further extensive study is recommended to describe the rich features of this dying language. This has only 45 native speakers, and among which there has only 24 competent speakers. So these are the references. This is the presentation. Thank you very much. And I have taken.
Thank you, Awan, for your beautiful presentation, giving us an insight of Asing language, which is Moribund language of Arunachal Pradesh. We can have a few questions, I think. It's open for questions now. Please.
I want to ask just one question to Awan. I would like to know to which languages have the Ashing people shifted to those who are not speaking Ashing?
Yeah, that is a very good question because this Asing speakers, they are shifted. I mean, they are speaking the languages which are neighbor languages like Khamba. When they are married to Khamba people, the relation like
Your voice is breaking, Awan. Maybe you can text it in the chat box. Not able to hear you. Yeah, I heard Kamba, but then after that, I'm not able to hear you. So maybe you can just, it's okay, you can just text it. Mimba. Okay. Memba, okay.
Memba, yeah.
Okay.
And these people, they are residing together in the same village also.
Okay.
So, but the good thing is that they still maintain that they belong to Adi.
Awan.
Yes.
So, in terms of religion, asking people, are they follow which religion they are following?
Yeah. I did not mention about the religion because most of them, they are Buddhist. Since they are a neighbor of Memba who are Buddhist, they also are worshipping Buddhism. I mean, they are following Buddhism. And a few of them, they have become Christian also. And they don't, earlier they used to have an indigenous faith, and which is already forgotten already. They're now following Buddhism and Christianity.
Okay, so is the religion a factor for becoming this language endangered or the extinction? Do you think in that way?
Not exactly. Not. I don't think that is the reason. And that might also be a factor, but that is not a very big reason for this language endangerment because the speakers are very few and There are very few, they have a very limited domain of use and they hardly have time to speak to one another. And within the village itself, there are many other speakers who are residing with them. So when they speak to those speakers, they have to speak Memba, they have to speak other languages, they have to speak Kamba, they have to speak Padang Minyong, they have to interact with other speakers.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Yeah, just one more I just want to ask is, which is the most, related language with Ashing? I mean, most cognate, and how related are Memba and Ashing?
No, Memba and Asing, they're completely different. So as I mentioned in the presentation, Bogum Bokang and Tangam, they are very close and they're cognates, and they're mostly similar, like basic terminologies. They are cognate. So with Memba and Kamba, they are completely different.
We can have 1, 2 questions more. Anyone?
Yes. Mr. Awan, may I have a look at your slide of personal pronoun before I ask the question?
Okay.
Okay, when it is coming, when the slide is coming, you said that the personal pronoun I or you or he or she, and the personal pronoun dual. You said personal pronoun dual, and personal pronoun plural. Plural. See, in the what I want to know is whether there is only the term dual or not. The term dual is the only term in terms of fixed numbers of persons, personal pronouns. Suppose we 2, we 3, we 4, we 5, we 100, these are fixed. But if in English, if we say we, then the number is 2 or more. That what we understand is 2 or more. Like that, it is a sing also. Is there any say term for other numbers other than the dual, the 2, say we 3, we 4, like that? Doesn't the language exist that term?
No. Yeah, actually, this dual number, they in Asing is not very significant, but I try to check whether it is something similar with the Kukichin dual numbers, because in Kukichin languages, dual number is very significant. So I try to check it whether in Asing, whether maybe the similar thing happens. So, but this is not very important in this Asing language.
Okay, so you are not sure whether there is V3, V4, V5 terms are there or not?
Yeah, V4, V3, yeah, that is possible, but these are not significant in the language and it doesn't have anything to do with it. They can say V3, V4, V5 also, but that is not very significant and it doesn't have anything to do with the language.
So that means the Ani is already indicating the numeral 2, right? When you say V2.
Yeah, it is just a numeral 2. So this is not very significant.
Yeah, okay. I'll ask one question. So I have seen that high central vowel, it occurs only in what final position? This high central vowel, it occurs only in what final position? do the language have any words that occurs initially or medially?
Oh, this final central high vowel.
Yeah.
This can occur in any position, every position. This one, initial, medial, and final. It can occur. It is very widespread and it is very common in the Tani languages. This central vowel.
No, I haven't seen example of medial, so that's why I asked. Okay. So can we go to?
Yeah, I have a lot of examples, but due to this internet issues, I won't be able to share it, I think.
Okay, then that's all. Thank you. So any question? Last, we can have one more question.
Okay, let me ask one question.
Yeah,
is it possible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one last question.
One.
Yeah.
Thank you for your presentations. And I just want to confirm about the consonant chart of Asing. That approximant ja and literal approximant la. So that one, just see your slide. We'll just see. Yeah. That consonant chart. Approximant ja and
I'm
lateral approximants. Can you make it a little bit define about approximant and lateral approximant?
I don't understand.
No, approximant ja and lateral approximant. What is the difference between that lateral approximant and approximant?
Yeah, this la is the lateral, and which is the only consonant is found in the language, lateral approximant la.
Okay.
You want me to pronounce how it is pronounced in the language?
No, in words, if you have minimal pair or if you have any words, this ja and la.
So in a diphthong we have ayo, yo, approximant one. Yo, it is pronounced as yo.
Okay.
I got him. He means to say that is not ja, that is ya. Actually. Yeah, he means to say that the lateral approximant, that is not ja, that is ya.
Yeah, that's ya.
Yeah.
Okay, then thank you, Awan, once again. So we are going to our next speaker. This is Asifa Begum, field report on Champang, Etangsa Naga language. Asifa, please go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen first. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Asifa Begum. I'm a PhD research scholar from the Department of Linguistics, Guwahati University. My presentation today is all about the initiation of my PhD research journey, the report of my first field visit, which is altogether an exhilarating experience for me. So I'm here today to share the beauty of the language, culture, and place of my research. Let me give you a brief outline of my presentation. I'll begin with a general introduction to the Tangsa Naga group of languages, and then I'll move on to an introduction to the language of my research interest, that is Champang. After that, I'll talk about the various clans under the Champang community and a little bit about their intra-marriage customs. The presentation will then move on to giving a rough idea about how to reach the place of research, some information about the place and my experience there. While touching upon the previous studies done on Champang, I'll then talk in detail about my fieldwork, the equipment and methodology used, and my consultants. Further, I'll move on to show a tentative phoneme inventory so that we get a rough idea about how the language, and also I'll show some sample words and sentences for a better understanding. Thereafter, I'll wrap up my presentation by sharing my observation of the state of Champang as a language and a list of references which I cited in this presentation. Coming to the Tangsa Naga group of languages, the Tangsa people are originally from Burma, now Myanmar, who have migrated at different points of time to India. While they are referred to as Tangsa Naga in India, in Myanmar, they are known as Tangshang Naga. In one of his studies in 1903, Grierson classified the Tangsa languages as Eastern subgroup of Naga, whereas in 1977, Vuglin termed the same group as Northern Naga. In another seminal work by Robbins Burling of 2003, the Tangsa language, the Tangsas are described as falling in the Konyak group of the larger Boro-Konyak Jingpo group of languages. Dr. Stephen Morey, in one of his articles in 2017, mentioned that there are around 80 subgroups of Tangsa Naga language varieties, which speak distinct languages, and out of which many are linguistically similar as well as mutually intelligible. About Champang, Champang is a Tangsa Naga language of the Tibeto-Burman family. More specifically, Champang is a non-Pangwa Tangsa language. The Pangwa non-Pangwa distinction is based on a few things, like how recent is their settlement in India? Do they practice any ritualistic or historical song tradition? Or do they mark hierarchical relations in verbal person agreement markers, and so on? According to Saul, the non-Pangwa Tangsas are those who settled first in India. So based on these characteristics, the Champang language is categorized as a non-Pangwa Tangsa language. The Champangs are also known as Thampang, which is their exonym. This language community is mostly found in the border areas of Tinsukia district of Assam and Changlang district of Arunachal Pradesh and in Myanmar. As per the Champang speakers themselves, their population in India is very small. It is less than even 200 people. However, this is a very rough estimate which needs to be confirmed in due course. Besides, their population in Myanmar is also yet to be known. The Champangs are multilinguals. They are fluent in Assamese and Hindi, which are languages of wider communication, along with other Tangsa languages such as Hakhun, Naimong, Ponthai, etc. The Champangs living in the village which I visited and the nearby villages also, they all follow Christianity. They are mostly engaged in farming. Some are also engaged in small businesses, and few people are, they also work in the Tirap colliery at Lido, which is located at the foothills. These are the various clans of Champang. Interestingly, the names of these clans are always taken in pairs and in the same order as shown here. For example, Wangkon Paton, Ketlo Tingnan, Wonru Wonte, Gate Konte, Hodung Homa, and so on. Assumingly, these pairs have some kind of proximity, which could be either familial or linguistic or something else. This, however, remains to be found out. Moreover, these are not the only clans that exist. There are many which the speakers couldn't recall at the time of recording, and many others which are lost in time. In any case, all these clans are part of the larger Champang community and they all speak the same language. Regarding marriage, they follow certain norms. For example, the Wangkon Patons, Ketlo Tingnans, and Zakan Kenwas consider themselves as brothers. So so marriage is not possible among their clans. However, they can marry from other clans like Hodung Homa, Honan, Hochak, Wanru, Wante, and Ketong Kanno. Again, the reverse is not possible because these clans consider the Wangkon Patons, Ketlo Tingnans, and Zakan Kenwas as their nephews. So they do not take their girls in marriage. Moreover, some clans mentioned in this list, like the Panchung Tangtu, they are not found in India as of now. They are found only in Myanmar. Moving on. Okay, this slide shows the route from Guwahati to Lido in order to visit the field of research. It is a journey of about 12 to 15 hours. Covering a distance of 511 kilometers as per Google Map. The most convenient and budget-friendly mode of travel is by train. This slide shows the map of the field site itself. The name of the village which I visited for my field work is Yopakan, pronounced as Jopakan in Champang. However, this village can't be located in the map. So I have tried to show the approximate region within the circle. Yopakan has the most number of Champang families living in India. There are other Tangsa communities also living in this village, such as Naimong, Hacheng, Shangwal, etc. And all of them can speak and understand each other's languages. This entire region used to fall under Margherita Circle of Tinsukia district in Assam previously. At that time, this village was known as Mulong No. 1 Gaon. But later on, it became a part of Arunachal Pradesh and came to be known as Jopakan. In Champang, Jo means water or river, Pa means beside, and Kan means mountain. So Jopakan means mountain by the side of a river. And the river that flows by the side of the mountain where Jopakan is situated is known as Terim River. This is an aerial view of the beautiful village which I was talking about, Jopakan, previously known as Mulong No. 1 Gaon. This is an image of a traditional Changhar at Yopakan. They have this tradition of having such an extended platform outside their huts, which they use for drying grains and other stuff in the sun. This is an image of a normal gathering around fireplace in the evening during winters. Okay, during my stay at Yopakan, I got the opportunity to witness a wedding ritual, which was initially an elopement. The bride is a Champang girl and the groom belonged to the Phong tribe. And because the marriage happened against the wishes of their families, the groom had to pay a fine of a cow and a pig to the bride's family. And in this picture, we can see that a member of the bride's family is arranging for gifts meant to be offered to the members of the groom's family. And the leaf packages in the picture contain pork and beef. Coming to the previous studies on Champang, Champang is an undocumented and unwritten language. Dr. Stephen Moray, however, collected some Champang data back in 2011, and he also wrote a few grammatical notes based on those collected data. However, apart from that, there is no full-fledged literature on Champang available as yet. Regarding my fieldwork, I got the opportunity to visit Yopakan in January this year, that is 2022. I had 4 main consultants who participated actively in my research work, and they were with me all throughout my stay. The recording device which I used is Zoom H1N handy audio recorder, which is a very good audio recorder. I could manage to collect about 1100 words during my stay, which included elicited words from the Nilda word list, which is specially designed to document languages from Northeast India, a few elicited sentences, a procedural discourse, and a couple of narrations and descriptions. This is the picture of my 4 consultants. From the left, we can see Najung Champang, Ranghan Champang, Chokjung Champang, and Kanwang Champang. Coming to the methodology I used for my research, I have applied a functional typological approach, which is data-driven and inductive in nature. My prime focus is to analyze the function and use of the language by looking at the collected data. So I started by collecting elicited words and sentences, and gradually moved on to collect natural data that included spontaneous speech, conversations, and narrations. After collection, I used various software like Prat, Elan, and Flex to do a proper analysis of the data. These are a few glimpses of the recording sessions. As you can see in the picture, all the villagers, they are actively involved. Apart from my main consultants, other villagers also used to come and visit the recording sessions, and they also used to get absorbed in the discussions we used to have. So it was a very good experience. Okay, so this is the consonant inventory of Champang. However, this is a very tentative inventory, and as we can see, that Champang has 27 consonants, including 12 plosives, 3 nasals, 2 affricates, 1 trill, 6 fricatives, and 3 approximants. This is the vowel inventory of Champang. This is again a very tentative inventory. So we can see the chart has altogether 7 vowel sounds, including 3 front vowels, 2 central vowels, and 2 back vowels. This is a sample word list. This chart shows few monosyllabic, disyllabic, and multisyllabic words, which I managed to record during my first visit. This is just for illustrative purpose. This is the second word list where the compound words found so far in Champang are shown. All right, so this slide shows 2 examples of simple sentences found in Champang. I have included these two examples just to show how Champang sentences sound like. So let us hear how they sound.
Ngitang lito boyat ko usam cha ko. Mango kan wangi sam sasi.
Okay, moving on. Coming to my observations. After spending some time with the Champang community in their village, I have realized that this language is really in a very grave danger of extinction. The speakers of this language are losing their vocabulary for two main reasons. One, their population is very small and scattered, and most families live amongst other linguistic communities. This has made them multilingual, which is good, but at the expense of forgetting most of their own vocabulary and mixing up their language with other languages' vocabularies. Second, they do not have any writing system or written material which can be referred to by the younger generation of Champang speakers. Whatever they learn only by listening to their elders. And now, with most elderly people gone, the population of such people who know the language better is also declining, which is a serious threat to its existence. Hence, I do hope that my intervention as a linguist to document and preserve the language will go a long way in saving this precious language variety. This is the list of references which I cited in this presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Asifa, for your systematic presentation on field report. So we can go for discussion, suggestions, and questions, please.
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, I could talk to you for a few hours about this, and we probably should do that at some point. But when I was there in Malong 1, the upper village and the lower village were slightly separated, and the upper village was a fair bit more mixed, right, with Ngaimong and Hutcheng and other speakers, Chamkok as well. Is that still the case in Jopakan as it has been renamed?
Yes.
Are they still fairly mixed in the area, or is the village really quite homogeneous?
No, it is still the case. And the people are together, but they have just moved a little bit further in the mountains to be a part of Arunachal Pradesh. So
yeah,
it was their joint decision. Yeah.
Okay. I remember that being in discussion when I was there. What language are people using then in that context with each other? Are they using Nagamese, or are non-Champang people still using Champang to an extent with Champang speakers?
No, they don't use Nagamese. At least I have not heard them using Nagamese. They use each other's language. And interestingly, all the communities living there, they all can speak each other's languages very fluently. For example, in the church also, whenever a prayer, mass meeting or prayer happens, the speaker who stands there at the front, he speaks in his own mother tongue, and all the audience, they can understand him properly. So so they switch to any language because they understand all the languages spoken there in their village, in addition to Assamese and Hindi. Okay, good, because they're Presbyterian, if I remember, in that village. Yes, right. So that's actually progress, because they used to use Joklai mostly for church services. So this is good news to hear. No, this time I have asked them specifically that what language do you use at church service? So they said that no, we use any language. Whoever is speaking, he speaks his own mother tongue, and all the people can understand. Good. Very happy to hear that. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for the question.
Thank you, Kellen, for this question. So we can have more questions. suggestions?
Yeah. May I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Can we take a look at that slide where you showed the derivation of that the water and land and hill?
Are you talking about this slide?
This one, yes. So Jo means water. See this. If I remember correctly, this Tripura Tui Pra, Tui is again water and
Okay.
Pra is adjacent.
All right. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So Ta has become Ja.
Okay. I'm not sure at this point about the historical, because I have not gone so far in a diachronic study. But yes, it could be true.
Yeah, to Z and then Pa, Tui and Pra. And also on the slide where you showed monosyllabic words.
Right. Okay.
Again, blood is he.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, blood is he.
I think it might have come from again Tai.
So that is Tripuri?
No, the word Tai.
Okay. All right.
The sentence patterns that you presented, what is the alignment there? Is it nominative, accusative, or ergative patterns?
I have not gone so far. Again, I would repeat. I have to confirm that first, and then I'll be in a better position to answer that question. But yeah, so.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I have a few more questions?
I have another if other people don't.
Please go ahead.
Can you go to the consonant inventory slide, please?
All right.
Were you able to find minimal pairs between the bilabial and labiodental fricative, as well as the palatal approximate and the postalveolar fricative? The ya, ja, and the va distinction is kind of surprising, but I wouldn't actually be surprised in the case of Champang just because of the strong compounding tendency that they have in the vocabulary. Have you found any minimal pairs between the va and the ya, ja sounds?
I think there is, but as of now, I am not very sure about that. So I cannot say very confidently that there is, I have minimal pairs, but I think I have.
Okay, let's chat about this at some point as well then.
Yes, sure, I will.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, one more observation here. The consonant inventory. Look at the velar series. Velar series is full. Kaga, khaga.
Yes.
The velar series ka,
Yes,
and you
right.
have. But the bilabial and alveolar series are not full, right?
Yeah. This is how it is. As of now, I could find these, but yes, I have to again go there. I have to get more data. Maybe more data will throw more light on these consonant and all the inventories which I have right now. And yes, obviously modifications will be there in future.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, the voiced aspirated is also a little surprising. I would expect a fricative there for the velar.
Which one?
The velar voiced aspirated, the g sound.
Okay, I got only 2 instances of Ga. So yeah, this needs to be looked into further.
Any more questions? If no questions, then I'll go to thank Asifa for her systematic presentation. So we have next update, that is Limi Niodo is unable to access network due to network problem in campus. So I'd like to hand over to Vision for announcement. Vision.
Yes. This session, earlier it was 5 presenters, but because of some other reason, 2 presenters has already dropped their presentation, and we have one more presentation from Limi Nudo, but because of some internet problem where he's staying, he's not able to access to the internet. So he said he's trying to get a place where he can access to the internet. So as of now, I think Asifa's presentation is the last for this session, and in upcoming session, maybe afternoon or the evening session, if he can find a place where Limi, if Limi can find a place where he can access to the internet, then we'll try to accommodate him. So this is the update. So we are trying to contact all our presenters, and some of them inform us that they are not going to present, and some we could not found. I mean, we cannot establish any communication with them. So we have to consider that Asifa's presentation is the last presentation of the Day-3 Session-1, which is on the field studies. That is the announcement that I had as of now. If there any other that Monali you can share.
Yeah, thank you, Bijan, and thank you to Asifa, and thank you to Awan for your wonderful presentations, and thank you to Dr. Tibeto-Burman for chairing the session for today. Yes, that is the update. Limi, he said that he wants to present, but there has been a power cut from yesterday, and he just got the information from the NIT campus that it will continue until day after tomorrow. So he has to travel to another place to get the network. So we're trying to give him time. So he will inform us by late afternoon if it's possible. If not, then we'll see how we can accommodate him. That is the update. And I think if any of the other presenters, if you are canceling it, please inform us in advance so that we can arrange and accommodate and adjust the schedule, in way a few hours in advance. So this is the update from us for now. And in that case, our next session will start at sharp 12 p.m. And Dr. Krishna Boro from Guwahati University will chair the session. And all the presenters have reported to be present and confirmed. So we hope that all of you will be here at least 10 to 15 minutes before the session begins for the technical checks. So see you at 12 p.m. IST sharp.